Welcome everyone to the 2014 Champions of Wayne second semester awards banquet. Thanks for being here. My name is Sean Galvin. I am Executive Director of the Champions of Wayne.
If you were to ask me my favorite season, I would say I don't have a favorite season because I like all the seasons. My wife would roll her eyes because I don't have any favorites of anything besides the Chicago Bears. I have a favorite lady, my wife, but that stopped working on her a while ago. So I don't really have favorites because I like all the seasons, and I started thinking about the different seasons. We did summer, and I thought about why I like summer so much. And I like summer because things just kind of seem to slow down in life. It gives you a chance to reflect and to think about what's coming up in the following year. And so I started reflecting upon the Champions program early in the morning as Sean and I are spending some morning time together someplace in Wayne Memorial working out. And I'm really thankful to be part of this program. And I think about how this program started. You know, several years ago, a school psychologist and a trophy and some Little Caesars pizza in the library. And that was how the program started. And now we have a movie going on, and there's all you people are joining us today for this evening. And so the program has really grown and very, very quickly in such a short period of time. And then I started thinking about why the program has grown. And of course, you know, the staff at Wayne Memorial has really embraced this program. They embrace anything they can get their hands on to help kids achieve goals in school, and do well. But I also think about Sean Gelman. No one ever talks about what Sean does. So the Champions program is actually an outside organization. And they work with the school, but they work so closely with the school because of what Sean does and how well he works with the staff and things like that. Most people don't even realize it's not actually technically our school. It's an organization that's separate that works with our school. And I think Sean deserves a lot of credit for how well he's worked with our staff. He's eager to help out with anything. He's at graduation. He's at registration at the start of school year. He's there in the summer working out with the principal in the morning. He does everything he can to support his program and help out. You know, but when I started thinking about the program, the thing I think about most are the different students in the program. You're going to hear a couple stories today from some students. Some of you have been here before, and some of you this is your first time hearing students, and the stories are wonderful. And you know, they always pick a couple stories that are really great to share. But there's so many other stories out there that are wonderful. And I think about my own champions that I've had, and some of them have made their goals, and some of them have not made their goals. But regardless of that, the experience along the way has always been a tremendous joy. You know, I think about the Champions program, whether it's the growth of the program, whether it's Sean and the staff or our donors and how well they work with the school, or all the students in the program, it's always positive. I think of all the students here today, everyone's here for a positive reason, to support their kids achieving and meeting the goal. Like Sean said, that the program is not a low trophy, everyone meets the goal and everyone's successful. You have to really strive, and some students, you know, strive really hard and don't quite make it, and that's okay. That's an important lesson to learn too. And these students have done that. They've excelled and they met their goal, and they reap the benefit that they signed up for today. And so that's exciting to see. And we also get a chance to look forward to what's coming next year. And you've noticed there's cameras all around, and they're making a documentary of this whole program here. And it's interesting to just watch how this program has grown. I'm really excited to see how much more energy this program brings to our school and to our students. And so, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sierra Wilson. I'm 17 years old and I'm a graduate of Wayne Memorial High School. When I started out in high school in South Carolina, I knew I wasn't staying there long. I found out the day before my first day of high school that I was moving back to Michigan. When I moved back to Romulus, I first attended Summit Academy. There, my credits got mixed up, and toward the end of my first semester, my mother told me I was moving schools again. This was difficult for me because I had just got settled there, and I was even more worried about my credits transferring to Wayne Memorial High School. Overall, my first semester of high school was rough. I got a 1.5 GPA, and I failed one of my electives. Once I completed my freshman year, I was barely on and barely getting by. Sophomore year came around, and I faced a big bump in my personal life. My mom and my stepdad were getting a divorce. This took a big toll on my life through my 10th grade year, and it was difficult to get through and keep my head up. My 10th grade year at Wayne Memorial ended with me achieving a 2.0 GPA, failing another elective, and I honestly wasn't sure if I would get through high school. I didn't have any hope until I joined Champions my junior year. As a part of Champions, I set a rather ambitious GPA goal. It was a 3.0 GPA. And while I didn't make my goal, I built up my confidence in myself and decided not to give up. I became close with Miss Livingston and her, Mr. Gray, and Mr. Galvin, pushed me to achieve my goals. At the end of my junior year, everything was looking up. Senior year started with my GPA being a 3.3 ever since. Champions helped me achieve my goals. Now that I've graduated, I want to go on a few road trips, go to Florida for a few weeks, and also go up north and spend time with my family. Once I finish my travel, I'm going to attend Henry Ford Community College to get my accounting degree and my massage therapy degree. Once I'm settled, I'd like to get my pharmacist license to take care of my parents. Everything happens for a reason. Just push forward and remember there are people around you who will lend a hand when you are in need. You never know. You mentor people you meet who will be friends for a lifetime. Thank you, guys.
My name is Brian Larson, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I never expected to be doing this, but I'm glad I'm doing this. I didn't exactly have a pleasant childhood. I didn't meet my father until I was 8 years old, and it wasn't until that I learned about work ethic. Now that I have my father and my grandmother in my life, I feel like I'm being pushed to get my work done and to have someone to turn to when things are getting rough. I recently finished my 9th grade year at Wayne-Westland High School, and the transition to high school was a challenge for me, and I did not know anyone at Wayne. And it was pretty rough. I felt like I was getting lost in the shuffle with so many kids at school, and I wasn't sure if I was going to fit in. I barely scraped by during the first semester, ended up with a 2.0 GPA. I heard about the Champions program from some friends and a few teachers, and I decided to join so that I could get an extra push and support at school. Sure, the $200 was a nice incentive, but I think the extra support is helping out a lot. I chose Miss Ritz to be my mentor because she was a funny person but serious when she needed to be. She helped me get my grades up when they started to fall, and she had got me back on track. She had just been a wonderful person. I could not ask for a better mentor. Thanks to that extra push and support, my GPA has gone from a 2.0 first semester to a 3.1 GPA this card marking. My self-confidence is building. Ever since I was little, I've always wanted to go to college. I wanted to be the first person in my family to go and do it. I wanted my family to be proud that one of us made it. I know if I try, I can make it, and nothing can stop me. I plan on doing as well as I did last year as to this next year. As I plan on making Miss Ritz my champion again. And I love how the Champions program works. It helps students to reach their full potential. Finally, I wanted to thank all the people who pushed me, all the donors, and everyone else who has made this possible. Thank you all.
I really push forward with the Champions program, and I really just preach is work ethic and also resilience. And this next speaker, I think, embodies both. He's got a strong work ethic, and he's just resilient. He continues to bounce back from challenges, and he just keeps working. Our next speaker is Mr. Tyler Castillos.
Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "Never believe that a few caring people can change this world, for indeed that's all who ever have." My name is Tyler Castillos. I am a graduate of the class of 2013. I am a full-time college student and also a full-time worker. Throughout the years, there's been a lot of people in my life who has helped me, including Ms. Forshey, Coach Weber, Coach Vasloff, and Mr. Bill Gray. Throughout my years at Wayne High, I was in the champion program for 3 years. And I also played football and wrestling. Coach Vasloff was my champion and wrestling coach. Vasloff is the type of guy who will help you better yourself not only as a student, but as a person. And when I would start to slip up in class, he wouldn't just have a talk with me, he would handle it in the wrestling room. And believe me, it wasn't fun. The relationship with Vasloff is just one of many that I have gained because of the champion program. And I believe that is to be the best part of the program. Another relationship I have gained from the program was with Mr. Bill Gray, and it's something I would cherish forever. My relationship with Mr. Gray didn't end when I walked across the stage last year. It still goes on to this day. He calls me once a week, sometimes more, just to check up on me and see how I'm doing. Not only in school, but in life in general. The champion program is one of a kind. No other school around here has it. And I believe that's what makes Wayne High so great, because they don't want to just educate their students, they want to sculpt their lives. We have all heard the saying, Wayne Pride. Wayne Pride to me means toughness. And the reason I say that because is, during my first year of college, I have noticed a lot. And I also noticed that kids from other schools did not work as hard as kids from Wayne. Kids from Wayne don't get stuff handed to them. We go out and take it. As I leave you here tonight, I just want to say one thing to the grads that will be starting college in the fall. Your first year of college will have its ups and downs, but you have to have faith in yourself. You zebras can do anything you set your minds to. Good night, thank you, God bless.
My name is Anthony Nemo, and I'm going into the 11th grade next year, and I live with my aunt and uncle. We aren't really blood related, but I've been calling them aunt and uncle since I could talk. Growing up, I never really knew my parents. I still don't know much about them, other than the fact that my mother's a heroin addict and my father's a drug dealer. Both of them are in and out of jail. That's why when I was 5, I started living with my grandmother and her boyfriend in jail. I guess you could say this wasn't the best living arrangement. Arguments and hostility were common when I lived there. I developed some pretty serious anger issues to the point of where I was expelled in the 5th grade for getting into a lot of fights and having bad behavior. My grandma argued a lot with her boyfriend, and I often got blamed for being a strain on their relationship. When I was in the 8th grade, my grandmother was hospitalized for a while, and it was just me and her boyfriend. At that point, things became extremely hostile. I was forced to run the household and really got a please or thank you. I hated it, and I began to hate him because he was always screaming at me and blaming me for anything that went wrong. I was very bitter. I got bullied when I was in the 9th grade, and with negativity coming at me from home, school, and seemingly everywhere in between. I just kind of shut down. On the days I did go to school, I would just listen to music, sleep in class, or I would skip by hiding out in a room behind the gym and in tunnels beneath the school. That's right, tunnels. Somehow I never got caught, but I got in trouble often, and I would tell administrators just to suspend me rather than giving me a detention. I would just skip anyway. I literally failed all of my classes, and I couldn't be bothered with schoolwork. My teachers eventually stopped bugging me about my grades because you can't help someone who refuses help. After the school year ended, I got kicked out of my grandma's boyfriend's house. We got into a pretty violent fight on my birthday, no less, and my aunt and uncle had to come rescue me in the middle of the night. Most kids would be upset they got kicked out, but I was rude. Things took a turn for the better when I made the move to Wayne to live with my aunt and uncle. I've known them my entire life, and they used to babysit me for months on end while my mother would disappear. My aunt and my uncle set expectations for me, and I became happy again. I cared about living again, so I cared about school again as well. I heard about champions from my 10th grade English teacher, Ms. Mashinsky, who ultimately became my champion. I seen her often, talked to her on a daily basis, and I wanted to make her proud. Setting a goal gave me something to reach for, and I found that I look forward to report cards. My first year of high school, I literally achieved a 0.0 GPA. This past semester, I achieved a 3.1. Since Champions has helped me improve my grades, I feel smarter and more confident, to the point where I plan on taking advanced placement courses next year. After high school, I feel confident I can go to a good college. I want to go to Schoolcraft for Culinary Arts, and after 2 years there, I'd like to go to a specialty culinary institution in France. Eventually, I'd like to open my own restaurant. I'd like to say thanks to everyone who makes the Champions program possible, including, but definitely not limited to, Mr. Helpy and Mr. Stires. A big thank you to anyone else who helped out, all the mentors, Mr. Lowe, Mr. Gray, and Mr. Galvin. Lastly, and definitely not least, I'd like to thank my champion, Ms. Mashinsky, for helping me reach my goal, keeping me on track, and being a friend as well as a champion. Thank you and good night.
A certain aspect of the Champions program that I really enjoy is that it helps students out at all levels. So we just heard from Anthony, who went from a straight 0 to above a B average. I think that's phenomenal. And we also have it's quite rare for a student to earn what's called the Gates Millennium Scholarship. And that is a scholarship where Bill and Melinda Gates will pay for a student's bachelor's degree, master's degree, and so on up through a doctorate if that's what they choose to do. It's a very difficult scholarship to attain, and if a school had one student get it would be a big deal. This past school year, we had 2 students earn the Gates Millennium Scholarship. We're going to hear from one shortly. The other happens to be at U of M right now and just can't make it. And we have a student that graduated two years ago who is currently at Harvard. And we're gonna attempt, if everyone could direct their attention to the screen over here, we'll see if our IT.
Hey, what's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam. Class of 2013, graduated from Wayne Memorial a little bit over a year ago. Currently at Harvard, thankfully finished my first year in college, so that's exciting. And I was fortunate enough to have been asked by Mr. Wayne and Mr. Gowan to speak tonight. And really, I guess what I was told to speak about was just like the Champions program to me. And I think personally what the Champions program to me was, it was like a community. And it was really just like a way to have pride in our community, like in Wayne Memorial. And I think it was just an opportunity to really go beyond just like being complacent and to really like strive for excellence. And that's what I always looked at the Champions program as, is an attempt to just to reaching or meeting whatever expectations or however we gauge excellence within our community. And I was looking at the Champions program as not just only like trying to better your grades, but also trying to do better culture and more just having an attempt to really show the kids and even like beyond the kids, like the community, that we are, our worth is more than what we can even like sometimes envision. And I think mostly like I just remember the first time being like my first time being first on Mr. Day, and just like the excitement he just like came to me with, and just really his ability to see the things something I can see within myself at the point in time. This was like my sophomore year of high school, and just him being able to just pull something out of me that I didn't think I had, or at least I didn't know that I had myself. And also Mr. Gowan there just being like a guiding force and being somebody who had a community and helping me to get to where I currently am. And I think those two guys, like, they're just amazing guys, amazing people, and they just look to really get the best out of every individual that they encounter. So my biggest takeaway from the Champions program was that was like a team. So it was a team, and it was just an opportunity to really excel, to really attempt to be the best you can possibly be. So for those of you who made your goals, congratulations, and for those of you who came short, keep pushing, because it's all about appreciating excellence. And I don't know if this is exactly how I heard this, but it's something like aim for perfection, because like by aiming for perfection, you really learn, upon excellence, and that's depending on how hard you strive for that. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of the day, guys.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Carlos Cornell, and I recently graduated with the class of 2014. I will be attending Central Michigan University in the fall, majoring in athletic training. Our plan is to obtain a doctorate degree in physical therapy and own a private practice. I've been a part of the Champions program for 3 years now, and my perception of what a champion is has changed every year. During my first year, I thought a champion was someone that ranks among everyone in the program that achieved the goal. It seemed right until I began my second year in the program, and I didn't attain my goal. My goal was to maintain a 4.0, and I feel like a failure because I never came up short before, especially when it pertained to my academics. So I began to think of different goals that I could set, like lowering my GPA. Then I thought to myself, is that what a champion really is? That's when it came to me on what the champion program is really about. First of all, I think a champion is being able to push yourself to become academically better and mature. But I also learned that there are values attached to this program. Secondly, a champion is learning to work through difficulties without lowering your values. Third, being a champion is learning the importance of giving back And that is something that I believe our generation needs to inherit. And that's what this program is about. So I did not give up on my goal, and I did maintain my program of GPA. And mentoring a freshman by the name of Tyrese kept me inspired and tried to inspire him. With my hard work and dedication, I am blessed to say that I am a Gates Williams Scholar recipient. The scholarship allows me to attend any college in the USA and pays for my classes and room for my bachelor's degree and my doctorate degree. I promised myself that I would not waste the scholarship, but I also promised and prayed to God that I would give back to my community and make a change in people's lives and in the world. Thank you, Mr. Chorkey, Ms. Weaver, and Ms. Phillips for taking me under your wings through these years. I love you all. Today, before this banquet, I had to talk with Mr. Gray, and he wanted to hear my speech, so I read it to him. And if you know Mr. Gray, you know he's really, energetic. So after the speech, he had a big smile on his face, and he asked me, "What made you become who you are today?" And I told him, "It's my religion." And he asked me again, he's like, "But what made you who you are today?" And I said, "Well, living into this community that I am now and going to church showed me life is real short. So it's not about how you leave this earth. It's about what you've done before you have left this earth." So I'll leave you with these 3 things. A champion is a person who pushes themselves to become academically mature. Second, a champion is a person who works through difficult situations without lowering your values. And third, a person who remembers to give back. Be a champion. Thank you so much, and God bless.
I do want to get the other side, the mentor side, and give everyone a taste of what the teachers at Wayne are doing and what the Champions of Wayne mentors, why they're involved. So our next speaker is a teacher at Wayne. She's one of the best, Mrs. Shannon Pippa.
My students would probably tell you that I'm the teacher who grades too hard and tells kids, "Bad job," all the time. Or the one who gives instructions in irritating songs and brags every day about her bratty little boy. I'd say I'm the teacher with high expectations, who gives honest encouragement, the one who starts every day with a smile and a song, and shares funny stories about her amazingly intelligent, athletic, and witty 7-year-old son. My students and I would both agree that I am a diehard fan of Harry Potter and the University of Michigan, my alma mater. Mr. Gray once told me that I must have been the kind of student in high school that didn't need something like the Champions program to succeed. In some ways, he was right. When I applied to U of M, I could say that I was a straight-A student, president of the German club, secretary general of our school's Model United Nations, and a contender in the state tournament for forensics, which is competitive public speaking and is really ironic because clearly standing in front of you all makes me want to throw up. But I started high school a shy and nerdy girl who struggled daily with self-confidence. 2 of my teachers helped me grow and change, teachers with whom I built strong relationships over all 4 years in high school. They gave me a safe place to be my nerdy self, encouraged me to take risks and stretch my intellect, and shared stories about themselves with me. I got to know and respect them as people, not just teachers. And I never would have accomplished so much without their influence. So Mr. Gray was wrong. Just like all of our students at Wayne High, I needed adults at school who saw my potential and cared enough to invest their extra time and energy in me. I was lucky enough to have 2 outstanding mentors. Along with Professor Dumbledore from the Harry Potter series, they are my models for mentoring in the Champions program. I took one of those silly online quizzes recently, the one that asked, "Which Harry Potter character are you?" And I actually got Professor Dumbledore, which is super flattering because he says profound things like, "It matters not when someone is born, but what they grow to be." Sorry, that was a terrible impression. To me, this philosophy is at the heart of the Champions program. We ask students to develop a vision for what they would like to grow into, regardless of external circumstances. And we don't let them pursue that vision on their own. but assist them in any way we can. My students become academic warriors, challenging themselves to win first place in a competition against their own personal bests. And for some, I become Jiminy Cricket, whispering advice while I sit on their shoulders. For others, I'm the fairy godmother, giving them the tools they need for success at the ball. Or I'm Baloo, teaching them how to fight their own battles in the jungle. I think you can tell I have a young kid. Here's my best metaphor though, I'm their co-pilot. Learning is really a lifelong series of flights with no final destination. It's just a bunch of layovers. And Champions is set up exactly that way. We ask kids to pick a destination for the end of the semester and work their hardest to get there with as much help as we can offer. This is only an interim destination though. Once my pilot and I reach this goal, we will celebrate and enjoy the sights for a little while, but soon it will be time to set course for a new destination for the end of the next semester. And maybe we will have more difficulty reaching that next layover. Sometimes there is a natural disaster in social studies to reroute around, or a major thunderstorm in science to navigate through. Maybe it's a mechanical failure in math to repair, or a miscommunication from the control tower to contend with in English. Many times my pilot and I need to land somewhere else at the end of the semester for a delay, but this will only be temporary, and we'll try again next semester to reach our original destination. My students grow the most when overcoming these obstacles, and those are the times when they are in most need of my help as a co-pilot, offering them a safe place to be themselves, encouraging them to take risks, and telling them stories about myself as a person, not just as a teacher. That is what will help them continue to develop their own temporary destinations once they leave Wayne High and arrive safely on their own solo flights without me. I graduated in a different century, and I assume it was easier in those olden days for my teachers to find time to develop relationships with their students. Today, the pressure to help kids perform sometimes compels us to sacrifice a few minutes of relationship building for a few more minutes of content instruction. Don't get me wrong, in this world of increasing global competition, I'm all for rigorous work and high expectations. Just ask my AP US history students. And Champions is certainly about fostering academic success. But one of the most wonderful things about the Champions program is that it encourages teachers to continue to make the relationship building part of our job routine. It can't fall through the cracks when kids are stopping by regularly with updates about how well they're doing or with questions about how to get help. I obviously want each of my champions to reach their goals, but at some point soon, I'll forget which of them actually did so this semester. But I will remember reminding Perla about the amazing skills she developed as a student last fall when she was so discouraged that she didn't reach her goal that she wasn't going to sign up for Champions again. I'll remember Joy's trepidation about the ACT and her outstanding perseverance to set up a volunteering position at the hospital. I'll remember hassling Elena about talking too much in my class when she told me that mine was the only final exam she really cared about passing. I'll remember Farhan's pride when he earned an A on a test in a science class he had struggled in. I'll remember Eric's smiling face each week when he stopped by to discuss his work in AP English. I'll remember telling Tyler that I wasn't going to give him any more advice about note-taking because I didn't want to mess up all the great progress he had made already. I'll remember Haley's passion for writing and her determination to create more sophisticated pieces. And I'll remember crying when Crystal showed up at my classroom door on the afternoon she found out she was a Gates Millennium Scholar. They are my champions, and someday soon, you'll be hearing about their incredible solo flights, but only after they celebrate with me first, so that I can tell them, great job. Thank you.
Recognized as the 2014 Distinguished Alum this year for Wayne Memorial, Mr. Jeff Steyer.
Either you'll hate losing enough to change, or you'll hate change enough to lose. Now, I've never met anyone who enjoys losing, so I wonder why it is we're so reluctant to change. Change in many cases means that we're going to try something new. And when we try new things, the chances of failure are increased exponentially. But I believe it's important that not only do we accept failure as a possibility, but we embrace it. Although this might seem counterintuitive, I will tell you that failure is not failure as long as you glean something positive from it. Prior to starting my business career, I was a professional boxer, and I was fortunate enough to retire undefeated. But I don't want to tell you about my professional career. I'd rather tell you about my 73rd amateur fight in which I lost. Having a 98-4 amateur record, 102 amateur fights, the 73rd amateur fight for me was the catalyst of change that I needed that would help me reach the success of my boxing career. After retiring from boxing, I started a business career. Today, I'm the founder and CEO of Aero Strategies, which is a $54 million company with over 450 people. I don't want to tell you so much about Aero Strategies. I'd rather tell you about the job before Aero Strategies, where, as a president of a very small company, unexpected and without cause, I was fired. And as devastating as that was, it was the catalyst of change that I needed to get where I need to go. So we must embrace failure. So many times when I talk to people about why failure is so scary, they immediately talk about the pressure that failure or losing brings to them. Whether it's internally and disappointing ourselves and not achieving our goals, or externally worrying about what others will think through our failure. But I believe the important part, again, about failure is using the good to propel yourself. So change and failure and pressure. Pressure must exist in order to give us our sense of urgency to exceed and to achieve. It is only through extreme pressure that we can realize a beautiful diamond out of a piece of carbon. Without extreme pressure being part of the equation, you're literally left with nothing more than a piece of coal in your hand. So as you hear my words, you hear change, failure, and pressure. Probably not the inspiring words you were looking for tonight. But if you want to hear the secret of success, I'll share it with you. And it's simply this. Successful people are successful because they do the things they don't want to do. Period. That's it. What I mean by that is so many people think of success, but when it goes through doing the checklist of what's necessary to get there, they're not as ingrained to do those things. I will tell you a personal success story that I had recently is a former member of the Champions, and I haven't shared this with anyone but my wife Lisa, came to my office, and my assistant came to my office door and said, "Jeff, there's a young gentleman here. He says he's an alumnus of the Champions of Wayne program, and he'd like to talk to you." So knowing that I support this program wholeheartedly, I stopped what I was doing and I went up front to talk to him. This young gentleman had graduated from Central Michigan University and was now selling shipping services. We're a professional services firm, so I can't use a service, and I politely told him that. And he said, "Well, since you're here, I'd like to hear what you think I should do as an aspiring entrepreneur." I said, "Well, I don't know if you want to hear that, because entrepreneurs are big ideal guys, but they're little on action. And I will tell you, in order to be successful, you have to roll up your sleeves and get on the underbelly of whatever it is you're working on and get really dirty and grind and stay there for a long time before you realize your success." There is a quote that never leaves the wall of my office that says, "Ideas are praised, but execution is worshipped." Those are probably the best words I can give to any of you. Execution is defined as the art of engaging or carrying out a course of action. You must do. So if you want to tell me about where you want to go and tell me the obstacles that are stopping you from getting there, I will call you out on it, because I just heard 5 great inspiring stories of people who have persevered through the face of adversity. So if you tell me that you want to go to college but you can't afford it, I will tell you to go get a job at McDonald's. And they pay $9 an hour, in case you weren't aware. And if you worked 40 hours, I did the math, and you lived at home, neither of them sound fun, I know, but you could afford to put yourself through several local colleges. Now, it may not sound like fun, but I didn't think we were talking about something what was fun. We were talking about how to be successful. And in order to be successful, we must do the things that we don't want to do. Every successful person I talk to will always state an epic failure and doing many things they didn't want to do as necessary to become where they were. With that said, I want you to know that you should take great pride in being a Champions this year. There were 576 students who signed up for Champions this semester, and you're part of the 16% that made it. What this tells me is that the goals are being raised and the rigor to obtain this is becoming more arduous. And I think this is absolutely the best thing that we can do for you, because it's an introduction to the real world. Be proud of yourself for becoming a champion of Wayne.
this semester, and as you enter into the relaxing months of summer, please know that I would challenge you to not only rest and relax, but there's something you can be doing to advance yourself. And I think it's important that that is part of the character of who you are. Other than supporting the Champions of Wayne program, my beautiful wife, Lisa, who also graduated in 1984, and I established a $5,000 scholarship recently for Wayne Memorial. And that scholarship is in my wife's name, and it's called the Lisa Week Character of Excellence Scholarship. And when I think about my wife, she is tried and true about doing the right thing, the little things. Be honest, be good to other people, be true to yourself. If you can maintain those three things and carry forward, the world is yours. So with that, keep believing, keep trying, keep achieving.
Great futures start right here.